నమస్కారం. నా ఈ ప్రయత్నం మీకు నచ్చినట్లయితే గనక మన ఛానల్‌ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకొని, పై జాబితాలోని మరిన్ని వీడియోలను చూడటం ద్వారా మీ నైపుణ్యాలను, జ్ఞానాన్ని కూడా అభివృద్ధి చేసుకోవడానికి ప్రయత్నించండి. జై హింద్. Please like, share and subscribe for more videos. Thank you.
Hello, this is Simon Williams here, the Ginger GM, and I've got another video range which I'm hoping will keep your interest and maybe teach you a thing or two as well. That's the kind of idea anyway. So the mini series I'm doing now, at least 5 videos, is going to be on when computers, which are basically the gods of chess, get things wrong. And this kind of fits into something which has come up very recently in the world of chess and computer chess. AlphaZero has now become the strongest computer out there after defeating, I think it was Komodo or Stockfish in a match by a very big score. And this has gone news all over the world media news, because apparently AlphaZero only took something like 6 hours to learn chess. Absolutely astonishing achievements. So I was thinking, right, well, if this is going to happen, you know, I've seen Terminator and I know that computers may well take over the world sometime, but I want to prove that humans still have the edge on computers in some specific cases. And these 5 videos are going to explain when. This first video is on when computers get assessments wrong. So you can see the computer bar there assesses this position, this first position we have, as a win for white. Any sort of +1, +2 assessment you see will mean that position is winning. +2 generally means that white is 2 pawns up, enough to win at grandmaster level, at international level, and pretty much at any level. And Komodo here gives this position as a win for white. But it's not a win. I mean, let's just have a look. How on earth does white win this position? White can never, ever break through. That is the key thing here. And this is one thing that computers don't always understand. You can check. You can move the bishop, for example, bishop to f5 check. And now the black king can move, let's say king d6. But how does white make progress? White can't. And a human can see this much quicker than a computer, because the white king can never cross the 4th rank. As you can see from these squares I have highlighted, all of these squares, which are potential squares the white king would like to cross over, are all protected by black pawns, meaning the white king is stuck on the first 3 ranks. And because of that, there's nothing white can do. It's a complete dead draw. And this is one of the basic examples of when computers get it wrong. In this first video, we're going to look at more basic examples, building up to more complex situations as the videos go on. So in a second, we are going to move to my second example in this one, the first video we have here. And the second example is another example of a position a computer assesses wrong. This is a fortress position, and computers again cannot assess fortress positions very well. I actually had nearly this precise position in the Title Tuesday match against John Ludwig Hammer Time, as we all like calling him. And I had the black pieces, and there was no way that Hammer could break through defense. Even though white is a queen up, you can see white has the queen, black has an impenetrable fortress. The rook here on f6 is defended by the black pawn, so nothing can ever happen to that rook. The pawn is always going to be defended by the black king, and a bit like the previous example, the white king can never enter into black's position. It's a bit further up the board than it was last time, but if you try to play something like king e5, I will just pass with the rook, rook h6, and my rook on this 6th rank stops the white king from approaching anymore. And as long as that rook is defended, and it will be defended on either h6 or f6 by the pawn, There's absolutely nothing that white can do. I'm just going to move my rook backwards and forwards for the rest of my life. And the computer here gives this position as +3, over +3. And each of these assessments which I'm using Komodo 10, which is one of the strongest computers in the world. It's meant to be rated over 3,000 ELO, so clearly stronger than any human. But again, a human would assess this position much better. I'm going to show you now, we're going to move on to my third example, a position which is very similar to this, but it's a position where black is actually losing. Now, you may think, what's happened here? We're now moving to the next example, that in this position it looks exactly the same. But there's a key difference here. And this is a very subtle endgame thing. What is the key difference? Well, the key difference is every piece has been shunted down the board 1 square, so nearer to the first rank. In the last case, the black king was on the back rank, the G pawn was on G7, and the rook was on F6. So it may look like black has this fortress again, because black can go rook F5, rook H5, rook backwards and forwards, yo, try to make white go dizzy. But actually, white is now winning. And you can only maintain that fortress with the pawn on G7. I thought it might be worth showing you this. Why is this winning for white? Well, white here can play queen to A7 check. Now black has a choice to make. Does black go forwards or backwards? If the black king comes forwards, we now see a main difference behind this example and the last one. The white queen can come over somewhere like H7, and at some point black is going to get into Zugzwang. For example, let's say black gives a check. I'm going to move my king to F3, and now black tries to go to H5, this technique of going to squares where the rook is defended. But here the problem is, and this is the big problem, the white queen has an extra file it can move to. That file is the 8th file. In the last example, the queen couldn't go here because it'd be moving off the board. But now this queen is going to force the black king away from the defense of the pawn. And we're going to win the pawn on G6. For example, rook to F5 check, king to G4. And, well, black is in serious trouble. Let's say rook to H5, trying to keep this theme alive. And now queen check. The king has to move. Let's say king to E6. And the winning move here, queen to G7. And as we can see, it's black to move, but black can do nothing to stop white from capturing that pawn on G6. So there are some very subtle differences with a lot of these examples I'm giving. But this one, computers can get right. The last example, computers can't. But hopefully, as a human, you can see them. And we're going to look at one more example now, a last example for this first video. This is really a little introduction. We're going to have some amazing examples in the next video. So I hope you're not too bored that you're going to turn off and not view the next videos. But this next example here is an example where it looks like black is in serious trouble. Imagine you're black here. The white bishops are terrorizing the black position, and white has just moved the bishop to D8. Now, this is a position that could really occur in the endgame between two humans. Now, what should black play here in order to draw? Well, the knight is attacked. So our first thought as black, and this is the computer's first suggestion, is to play knight to A8. But again, this is a situation where the computer is wrong. That knight is completely dominated by the white bishop. You can see the white bishop there taking away all squares to the knight. And the only thing white has to do now is stop black from going king to E8, forcing the bishop away. How do we stop that move? We use our other bishop. Our other bishop comes into D7. And as you can see, we've got another force field here. Black is really struggling to find a move. And how does white win? White will just bring the king around bit by bit. And that white king is coming into E6 and taking the pawn on D6. Let me just show that. What can black do? Black can't do anything. So king to G6, king to C2, king to F7, and the king will slowly come round. There's nothing black can do. And at some point, the white king will force its way in and take everything. So the position actually looks pretty hopeless for black. But there is a way to draw. And again, it's to do with a fortress. That's what this video is mainly concentrating on. Black can play king to e8, sacrificing the knight on b6. So white obviously takes the knight on b6. And now black just plays king to e7. And even though black is 3 points down, in actual fact, Komodo, my computer program, gives this +4, so completely winning for white. But if we look at the position a little bit deeper, it's a dead draw. There's nothing at all that white can do. Black is just going to play bishop to e1, bishop to b4. This bishop on b4 is going to come backwards and forwards because white's bishop now on b6 can never get back into the game. There's no point going to a7 or b8 or c7. All of these squares do nothing to the position. And if you ever go to d8, I take the bishop. Let's have a look if white tries the same plan as before. King c2, bishop e1. King e1, bishop b4. King e2, and I'm just going to go backwards and forwards with my bishop. And the white king can get quite close, but it can never get further. Like the previous examples, there is a force field there on the 6th rank, and the white king can never approach, can never get near to the black pawns. So again, a draw is the only result that's going to occur here. If white sacrifices his bishop for a pawn after something like bishop b4, well, the position is still drawn because it's opposite colored bishops, and these endings are very often draws. So this first video, a little introduction to when computers get it wrong. I've got 4 more videos in this range, and the examples are going to get more and more beautiful in some senses. So do stay tuned and do look at the next 4 videos I've prepared. But do remember, computers are a tool to help us, but they're not the most important things. We got to use our own minds and our own thoughts to think about positions. Don't just rely on a computer, rely on yourself to improve at chess. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be back again very soon.